righty, welcome everybody. Welcome to the fourth episode for season number 2 of the Spin Zone. And tonight it's just me and only me. Um, it's been quite a week. Obviously, as you all know, there was a preseason game last week, and unfortunately, the Cowboys did not win that game. So definitely there was a little bit of disappointment with regards to that game. We'll cover some highlights of that game coming up. We'll also look at the injury tracker, who's out and for what reason. We'll also talk a little bit about the current situation with the contracts with regards to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons. We'll also look at a predicted 53-man roster. We'll take a look at that as well. So I thank everyone that's tuned in tonight. Once again, it's just me and only me tonight. So we'll go ahead and flip over to the virtual theater screen. If just give me a second here while I find it. All right, we're going to go ahead and flip. Here we go. All righty. Well, it's preseason week number 2, and basically, they are going to play the Los Angeles Raiders this Saturday, which is tomorrow. So stay tuned to that. I do not believe that the game will be broadcasted locally, since it is an away game. Last week, I was a little disappointed myself because I didn't really get to watch the game here locally because it was actually an away game. So that was a little disappointing. The home game will be the third game of the preseason, and that one should be televised here in Texas, of course. And let's not forget, we do have an official Dallas Cowboy jersey drawing this coming September 8th, which is the start of the regular season. And basically, it will be a drawing. And for those that make a $5 donation, you can actually do that via scanning through the barcode through Cash App, or you can actually go into you basically it's a $5 donation, excuse me, and you can also use Cash App and just go to $BrownsvilleTechLive.com and make your $5 donation. Don't forget to key in your name as well as your shirt size, and also your email address. We want to make sure we've got an email address so that we can actually notify you in case you are the lucky one to actually be the lucky one to draw the jersey on September 8th. So don't forget that. Like I said, it's pretty easy. You just go to Brownsville Tech Live right from the Cash App, and you just key in $5 with your name, your shirt size, and your email address, and we will get you on the list for the drawing. Also, the numbers this year are 1 through 75, so also key in the number that you'd like. If you want us to pick a number for you, just let us know and we'll let you know what that number is. But it's a great deal. It's only $5. And if you go over to the NFL Pro Shop at the mall, you're not going to get a jersey for $5. And of course, even at $25, if you decide to make a $25 donation, that's still way far cheaper and a better deal than having to pay full price at the NFL Pro Shop. So visit us on Cash App at Brownsville Tech Live to register, and we will be looking forward to that winner on September 8th. All righty. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the highlights of preseason game number one. As most of you all know, it was a game, it was the first game of the preseason, and it was between the LA Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. And the final score was 13 to 12. So what in the world happened? How did we end up losing that game? Well, first of all, the game started with Cooper Rush, right? He started the opening drive, and then the next drive led to about 44 yards, leading to a 3-point touchdown. It does appear that Trey Lance is still a little green for prime time. He seems to have a habit of throwing that ball too high for most of those receivers. And we saw that during this game, where it appeared that the receivers weren't able to catch that ball because it was just too high. So it appears that he is still a little green, and that may present an opportunity for Cooper Rush to remain as the second quarterback. As most of you know, Cooper Rush has a desire to coach an NFL football team somewhere around the league. So he was pretty hopeful that he was going to land at least a head coaching job, or maybe not even that, maybe a defensive coordinator. I'm sorry, an offensive coordinator job somewhere with some team. But unfortunately, that hasn't transpired, which means that he's still at Dallas. And of course, with Trey Lance still appearing green, there may be an opportunity for him to remain. So the defense did pretty good. They actually produced 4 interceptions, and those interceptions were caught by Marquise Bell, Eric Scott, Julius Wood, and Brock Mogensen. There was a 5th interception, by the way, but it was called back due to some kind of penalty. So the defensive line also had some great success scoring some sacks against the LA Rams quarterback, which is Stetson Bennett. Unfortunately, the game ended 13 to 12 when LA scores a touchdown to number 83, Treshaun Jackson, which is a wide receiver. And I know, most of you guys do not want to see a video of that, but I have no choice. I have to show it, so forgive me, guys. But basically, we're going to show the catch that ended the game at 13 to 12. Here we go. I don't think there's audio sound, by the way. And there it goes. And that led to a touchdown and a 1 point, I believe it was a 1 point field goal. But basically, that's how this football game ended. It was disappointing because it was so close, but definitely it was unexpected. All right. Well, there is a new prediction for the 53-man roster. And we'll go ahead and start with the offensive line. What are the experts talking about now? After Sunday's game, who do they believe is going to remain on the offense? Well, there's no doubt that Dak Prescott will still be the starting quarterback, contract or no contract. Obviously, he doesn't go into free agency until 2025. And right now, they're negotiating a contract renewal. Trey Lance, we suspect, will continue to be number 3. Actually, the experts out there have been saying that Trey Lance, despite his poor performance this past game, will be number 2, and that Cooper Rush will be moved over to the practice squad. So you're still going to have 3 possible quarterbacks, with Cooper Rush being taken down to number 3. Now, obviously, if Trey Lance continues to suck, well, then obviously Cooper remains in number two and Trey Lance gets shoved over or cut, uh, if he gets moved over to the practice squad, fine. But if he gets cut, well, that could be a possibility too, right? It would save about $4 million. And by the way, the comment lines are open. So if anybody wants to chime in, they can go ahead and do so as well. For the running back position, Ezekiel Elliott is still number one, followed by Rico Dowdle. Hunter Lupke is also expected to be a running back. Possibly Deuce Vaughn, even though he had very little playing time last year. They really didn't use him a whole lot. And it appears that Malik Davis will be sent over to the practice squad. This is what the experts are saying. On the tight end position, Jake Ferguson, no surprise there. Luke Schoonmaker, no surprise there. John Stevens Jr. has been on fire lately, no surprise there. But it appears that Brevin Spanford will be shifted over to the practice squad. Wide receivers, despite the fact that CD hasn't shown up for training camp, he hasn't shown up for practice, and God knows if he'll be at the start of the first regular game. He is still expected to be the number one wide receiver, followed by Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, and Jalen Brooks. On the practice squad for the wide receivers, you've got Tyrone Billy Johnson, Jalen Moreno Crop, and Kelvin Harmon. For offensive tackles, you're looking at Tyler Guiton, Terrence Steele, Asim Richards, Chuma Adegoa, even though he did injure himself earlier this week. And of course, in the practice squad is Nathan Thomas and Matt Lewetzko. For offensive guard, no surprise there, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, TJ Bass, and Josh Ball. And for the center position, no surprise there, Brock Hoffman, Cooper Beebe, and Dakota Shepley, I misspelled his name, will be shifted over to the practice squad. Once again, for you guys out there, this is the predicted 53-man roster for the offensive line. It doesn't mean this is final. It doesn't mean that it's accurate. It just means that the experts think that this is what the offensive line could look like once the 53-man roster is defined. And what looks like for the defense? What does it look like for the defense? Well, for defensive ends, no surprise there. Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence. I hope I spelled his name right. Marshawn Nealand and Al-Quadin Muhammad. On the practice squad, Vialami Fakoko, Jarrell Johnson, and Tyrus Wheat. For defensive tackles, no surprise there, Osa Odizigazua, Mozzie Smith, Chauncey Golston, Carl Davis, Justin Rogers. And on the practice squad, you'll have Denzel Daxon. And then for linebacker, Eric Kendricks, DeMarvion Overshown. If you recall, Jerry was very impressed with DeMarvion over training camp. He was labeled one of Jerry's favorites. So, Damone Clark, Marist LeFou, Buddy Johnson, and Brock Mogensen. And the linebacker shifted over to the practice squad will be Darius Harris. For cornerbacks, that's cornerbacks, not quarterbacks, cornerbacks. You've got Trayvon Diggs, Jerron Bland, Jordan Lewis. You've got Kalen Carson, Josh Butler, and Andrew Booth. And in the practice squad, you'll have Keeman Hall. For safeties, it'll be Malik Huller, Donovan Wilson, Juanye Thomas, Marquise Bell, and in the practice squad, it appears that it'll be Julius Wood. So once again, for those of you out there, this is the predicted 53-man roster positions for defense. And of course, special teams. You've got Brandon Aubrey, no surprise there, Brian Anger, Trent Sieg, and CJ Goodman in the kicker position. You've got Brian Anger for the punting position and Trent Sieg. And I'm not sure why I've got CJ Goodwin down there, but it may have been a typo. But this is what the special teams is probably going to look like between now and the start of the regular season. Alrighty, so what does the preseason schedule look like now after game one? Well, we are in week 2, and like I mentioned, they are playing the Las Vegas Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. The game will start at 9 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be a late game. So for those of us, we may be staying up a little late tomorrow night to watch this game. It will be broadcasted on the CBS affiliate, which here, if it's to be broadcasted, which I doubt, it would be channel 4 on cable and 23-2 if you're using an off-the-air antenna. But that's an away game. So the likelihood of the game being broadcasted here locally is pretty small unless you have the NFL Plus. Or an NFL package, right? From some carrier, whether it's Spectrum, whether it's DirecTV, even YouTube for that matter. And of course, week 3. That will be a game. It'll be a home game here at AT&T Stadium. It will be against another Los Angeles team, the Chargers, formerly from San Diego. Luckily, that game will be a Saturday game at 3 p.m., so you won't have to stay up late at all. And it's also going to be broadcasted on the CBS affiliate stations, which would be Channel 4 here for those cable subscribers, as well as 23-2 for those that are using off-the-air antennas. And of course, the regular season. As we mentioned last week, week 1 will start off on 9/8 at 3:25 p.m. They will be playing the Cleveland Browns away at Cleveland, and that will be broadcasted on the Fox network. And that game starts at 3:25 in the afternoon Central Time. Week number 2 will bring the New Orleans Saints to Dallas to play at AT&T Stadium. That is a home game. That will be on Sunday, 9:15 at 12 p.m. So for those of you planning to go to church, you may want to go to early service to catch the game starting at noon. And that game also will be broadcasted on Fox as well. And the third week will bring the Baltimore Ravens to Dallas. And that's going to be a Sunday game on 9/22. It starts in the afternoon, which is at 3:25 p.m. It will also be broadcasted on the Fox affiliates for those of you who have Fox on cable or off the air. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without our injury tracker. It's not the most great slide to present, but we've got to know who's been injured. And of course, there's no surprise here. We've heard it for a couple of weeks. Sam Williams, defensive end, number 54, he is out for the entire season due to an injury via his ACL and MCL. And once again, I'm not a doctor. I have no idea where those uh, injuries are. I don't know whether they're on a leg, on a groin. I have no clue. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what an ACL and an MCL is. So if anybody out there that's got a little bit of medical experience can actually chime in on a comment and let me know what that is and let the viewers know, it'll kind of give us an idea of what that injury looks like, right? So for those of you out there that have a little bit of medical knowledge, it would be nice to know what an ACL and an MCL are and where they're located, right? But unfortunately, the injury was so severe that Sam Williams will not play the entire season. So that's a bummer, of course, right? And of course, Chuma Edoga, the guard number 71, he suffered a broken toe during the game this past week, during the preseason game one. Unfortunately, Chuma is going to be out for 4 weeks. That is the predicted time that he's going to be out without playing, which means he'll probably miss game 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully, he'll be able to make it back for game 4, but realistically, it probably won't be until game 5, if everything goes well with his broken toe. So that's a bummer as well. Very disappointing when it comes to that. And of course, there was a third injury. Earl Bostic, the tackle number 64. He was carted off also during the preseason game this past weekend. And as of tonight, it's been reported that he is going to have surgery. They do not know how long that surgery as far as the recovery from that surgery will be. And we had a pretty scary, situation with number 3. Apparently, he messed up his knee, but it appears that he will be returning back to the game. Contracts. Where are we at with the contracts with regards to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons? Well, it appears that Micah Parsons seems to be happy. So either he's already gotten a contract, but he hasn't said how much or what. But he's been showing up to practice and he's been playing, right? He's been at least ready to play. So Micah Parsons seems to be okay. Dak Prescott reported about 10 hours ago that contract negotiations are going very positive and they hope to wrap things up pretty soon. So that looks pretty positive. The one that's still out and about is CeeDee Lamb. It doesn't appear that Jerry is in a hurry to get his contract all settled. But it is kind of disappointing that it's gone on this long. It's pretty much a game of cat and mouse at this point between the front office and these guys and their union representatives with regards to these negotiations. So hopefully they will get their act together and just they're saying that CeeDee Lamb is not going to get everything that he wants. I think he wants a $34 million contract, which is on par with what the salaries are across the league right now for top receivers. So he's hoping for at least 34 million, but he's probably going to have to settle for slightly less than 34 million. I mean, no pocket change, right? It's not pocket change. None of these guys are starving by any chance. There's just, that they're not starving, but definitely they want to maximize as much money that they can possibly get. So we'll see where that. Micah Parsons looks good right now as far as his contract possibilities, and Dak Prescott appears pretty positive with regards to his. Unfortunately, CD is still out and about, and there appears to be no word whether Jerry has dished out the cash or proposed to dish out the cash and how much. So, well, like I mentioned before, this game this past weekend pretty much kind of still keeps the battle for number two up in the air. As we mentioned, one of the biggest problems with Trey Lance in the game this past weekend is that he appeared to be throwing passes too high or unreachable for the wide receivers. And that was kind of disappointing, because, he was acquired from the San Francisco 49ers. There was a lot of hope and promise. In fact, not only that, but they're paying him $4.5 million. That's half of what Cooper Rush, who's been there for a while now, is making. So there definitely was better expectations when it came to Trey Lance. And obviously, he appears to be green for whatever reason. So the battle continues. We don't know where this is going to end up. We know what the experts say. The experts think they've got their money on Trey Lance. But after this week and the game this past week, I have my doubts with regards to whether he'll be number two or whether we'll just, stay with Cooper Rush at number two. I do believe that we will still have three quarterbacks, though. I do believe that. I don't believe that none of these guys will be cut, unless one of them leaves on their own. Dak's future, well, as we've talked about before, Jerry was pretty sure that there is a future for Dak Prescott with the Dallas Cowboys for the foreseeable future. He has not indicated that he wants to let Dak go. And I think he'd be pretty stupid, in my opinion, to even let him go. Because the moment that he becomes or goes into free agency, there will be several teams out there vying for Dak Prescott. And I think it would be a tremendous loss for Dallas if they were to let him go. I mean, basically, Jerry was quoted. He said, I do not think that this will be Dak's last year with the Cowboys at all. So we're taking Jerry at his word. We're taking his word that Dak Prescott is the quarterback for the foreseeable future. And why should he be the quarterback? Well, he had one of the best seasons last year. He threw for 4,516 yards. He led the NFL last year with 36 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And, some of you will say, well, it's 9 interceptions, right? Well, it could be worse, right? He led the league the year before with 15 total interceptions, which was the worst. So he's actually improved quite a bit. He's been to the Pro Bowl for the third time in a year. He's no rookie. So what does this mean? Well, because Jerry has taken his sweet time, it is now estimated that his contract will be worth up to $70 million a year. That's about $4 million from what it could have been had Jerry just decided to release the money right then and there. Originally, the contract was going to be for $66 million, but now because, Jerry has fiddled and faddled his way with this contract, it's now going to be up at $70 million per year, which means that somebody or a group of players that were thinking of getting a pay raise aren't going to get one because now the money has increased, and which means that now you've got to provide more money for Dak and less money for anybody else for that matter. So Jerry needs to hurry it up before that 70 million grows a lot bigger, because the only guy laughing straight to the bank will be Dak. That's for sure. Not that Jerry, it'll hurt him one bit, but still, 70 million is quite a chunk of change. Show me the money or dish out the money. Who could we be talking about? Well, if you saw last week's show, You kind of know who we're talking about. It's CeeDee Lamb once again. He has not shown up for training camp. He has not shown up for any practices after training camp. And there's a high possibility that he's not even going to show up for the first game of the regular season, which is not a good thing because it's not like he's going to get out scot free. There are fines that he's going to have to pay. And as of right now, if he continues to stand out from the existing process, including showing up for game number 1 of the regular season, his total fines are going to accumulate to 1.6 million for missing out all this time. It is not a chunk of change to just give out. I'm sure hoping that CeeDee has a little bit more smarts or has been a little bit more smarter when it comes to saving. And I hope that he does have the $1.6 million to pay in penalties because the more he's out, the more it's going to cost him. And for those of us in Texas who couldn't travel to Oxnard for training camp to watch the Cowboys train at training camp and practice, which by the way was free, we'll get an opportunity once again to watch them for free if you get there early enough, because they're going to be holding open practices at the Star, and this is in Frisco. So if you get there early enough, you'll be able to watch the Cowboys practice. There's only going to be 2 practices. One is one called the Cowboys Night. It's going to be on Tuesday, August 27th at 4 p.m. And then the next date is the next day, which is August 28th at 5:30. It's officially being coined the season kickoff ceremony. And this will be an opportunity to hear Jerry Jones talk about the start of the regular season. So if you're out and about in the Frisco area, you will get an opportunity to watch the Cowboys practice for those 2 days, as long as you get there early enough. So, and I was looking at several pictures. This place is nice. Never been to it, but it definitely looks nice. There's no doubt about that. And of course, once again, to remind those of you that are interested, we are going to have a drawing on September 8th for an official Dallas Cowboy jersey. This is not some knockoff that you buy from some Chinese sweatshops somewhere. It's not something that you buy at Segunda or at a Chinese store downtown. This is an official NFL Dallas Cowboy jersey. And I'm not wearing mine tonight. I actually have to wash it since I didn't wash it all year last year. But basically, it is the official jersey. It's one of those that has the no sweat technology, which means you're supposed to not sweat, especially if you're at the game. And it is an official jersey manufactured by Nike, so it's got the official logo patch on the side as well. So you won't have to go to the game and be embarrassed by wearing something that's not official. So, and it only will take a $5 donation, and you can do that by going directly to Cash App. And basically, you can go to $Brownsville Tech Live and submit your $5 donation along with your name and your shirt size and your email address. And your shirt size is important because we want to make sure that we get you the right size. And we want to make sure you include an email address because of the fact that we need to find a way to contact you should you be the lucky one to draw the official NFL Dallas Cowboy jersey. So it's a great deal. Like I said, for $5, it's a steal. I mean, if you go to the NFL Pro Shop today, you're not going to find a Dallas Cowboy jersey for $5. In fact, if you make a $25 donation, which is 5 opportunities to win, that's still a great deal because you're not going to find anything for $25. And right now, the choices are Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, or Micah Parsons. Those are the three choices right now for an official NFL Dallas Cowboy. And for those of you that have already donated and registered, we thank you for doing that. And we already have you on the list for the drawing September 8th. And this will be right before the game starts. So it's a great opportunity to wear an official Dallas Cowboy jersey, especially if you're planning to go up to Texas Stadium. I mean, you don't want to show up at the game not wearing something that's officially like the Dallas Cowboy jersey, right? You know, you could buy a cheap T-shirt or whatever, but you're going to be the oddball at at AT&T Stadium, wearing something that isn't a jersey. So I really do encourage everyone who's got an opportunity to register and donate. The numbers are 1 through 75 this year, by the way. So, in addition to the information such as name and email and shirt size, make sure that you also, include, you know, uh, all that information so that we can properly get you and pair you up with the right size. Also, as a rule, for those of you wondering what size to get, the rule is if you're a medium, you want to get yourself a large. If you're an extra large, you may want to get yourself a 2X. And the reason is because you don't want to feel tight in your jersey. So the rule is you always purchase a jersey or you obtain a jersey one size from the size that you typically wear. So basically, that is it for this week. This was episode number 4 of the Spin Zone. And once again, for those of you wanting to register for that jersey, you can go ahead and do so at Brownsville Tech Live, and that is through Cash App. So I encourage everyone that can register and donate. It's a great deal, and you won't be disappointed. That's for sure. And hopefully next week we'll have Steve back. He was out today, and so he wasn't able to make it. But we definitely would like to have him back next week so we can go over the highlights of game number 2. Once again, that game is tomorrow, and it starts at 9 p.m. So go Cowboys tomorrow, and we will see you all next week for episode number 5 of the Spin Zone. Good night, everybody, and have a great weekend.